Good evening and welcome to your evening news bulletin with Television Tonga News. In the headlines, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Samui Vaipulu received a cheque of 50,000 ba'anga from the Secretariat of the Pacific Community for the Hapai relief effort. Minister of Finance highlights the importance of looking after people with disability as they are an important part of the society. And the Dubai Tertiary Institute Public Library receives donation of library books from the U.S. Embassy in Suva. These and more stories, together with news from around the region, sports, and the latest weather bulletin to follow later on in this bulletin. Now for the news in details, I'm Galolaine Tonglava Paletua. A cheque of 50,000 ba'anga has been presented from the Secretariat of the Pacific Community SPC to the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the chairperson of the National Disaster Management Committee, Samui Vaipulu. The donation aims at assisting the government with its Hapai relief efforts after the Tropical Cyclone Ian's devastating visit earlier this year to the Hapai group. We'll join Anasiu Falekaono with that report.
The assistance is for the Hapai relief effort after the devastation from Tropical Cyclone Ian's visit in the beginning of this year. Speaking to Television Tonga News, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister says the donation will be deposited to the Hapai Relief Fund account. He adds that the monetary assistance will help improve the agriculture sector in Hapai and plans to provide seedings and crops to be grown in the island. At the moment, all assistance to the Hapai group of islands requires a follow-up. All the donations will be checked again and how they are monitored. We also require the people to plant the seeds and crops that they are given to them to help them with their living. This check will be deposited to the Ministry of Finance and all the assistance needed will be taken from there. Also, the Ministry of Agriculture should record the names of the people that will receive the assistance. This will show all the donors that the government is transparent with the money donated to the Hapai relief effort. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister also called on the people of Hapai to use all assistance wisely that they are donated from everyone because it will help in the long run. Meanwhile, a representative from the SPC, Dr. Siwa Halavatau, told Radio and Television Tonga the organisation wishes to lend a helping hand to the affected families in Hapai after the tropical cyclone Ian. Although we first plan to provide seeds for the people of Hapai, but if the government and officials want to monitor the assistance, and we agree with it. Meanwhile, according to the information from the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, the Hapai relief account is worth 1.4 million pa'anga at the moment. For Television Tonga News, I'm Anasiu Falekaono.
People in the society needs to stand together to support and to help the people with disability because they are an important part of the society and should be included in decision making. This was the call from the Honourable Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Isaac Eke, to relevant stakeholders both from the public and private sector, was delivering his opening address of a special capacity building training for people with disability in the society. Fononga Veikosa was there and filed this report.
The purpose of the program is to educate the people in the society on the correct way to look after people with disability. In opening the training, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Isaac Eke, calls on the related stakeholders to prioritize the assistance provided for people with disability. This is because it is vital not to let these people feel they are left out from decision making. Let us stand together and help the people with disability. Let them enjoy their life like everyone else. They have every right to enjoy the good life and to share every goodness that God has bestowed upon this earth, but most importantly for us people in the society to make a difference in the life of these people who needs more help than we do. By doing this, we lighten their feelings to show that they are still a part of the community. Dr. Eke also encouraged the participants to take part in decision-making in the society. We are all the same. God created us the same way, and we will always be, no matter how hard and uncomfortable life is. If you are one of the people with disability, please do not lose hope. You are still human after all. Do not be discouraged or feel left out. Bear in mind God is with us. He has plans for each and every one of us, and I am sure God has a better plan waiting ahead of you. The training is organized by the Naunaue Alamaite Tonga Association. In a speech from the president of the association, Rima Misa, he emphasized on the training schedule. This training will begin with the members of the Naunaue Alamaite Tonga Association, which includes a visit to the society to carry out the public awareness program in the local communities. The training is funded from the European Union to the tune of more than 20,000 pa'anga. For Television Tonga News, I am Funonga Vikoso.
From the Supreme Court, Justice Charles Cato has discharged one of the two accused that were alleged in relation to the tragic death of a young man, Christopher Kanongata'a, inside a cement mixture in August 16th of last year. Dave Kanongata'a was discharged this morning at the Supreme Court after a submission from the Crown's prosecutor since his file that they offered no evidence regarding this accused. However, his co-accused, Taulani Langoia, is alleged for the death of Mr. Kanongata'a. Langoia is charged with murder, manslaughter, and causing bodily harm in relation to the death of Christopher Kanongata'a. He is also charged with causing bodily harm to Manio Tupo, who also suffered major injuries from the same incident which led to the death of Christopher Kanongata'a. Meanwhile, Justice Cato is giving Langoia 2 weeks to look for legal counsel to represent him because of the serious charges laid against him. He is due to reappear at the Supreme Court on the 1st of next month. The U.S. Embassy's office in Suva in Fiji has presented a donation of library book materials to the Dubois Tertiary Institute's library. The assistance is to be used in the library's American Corner, which will be available for the public to use. We'll join Salama Fulivai with more on that story.
This donation was presented by the Regional Information Resource Person for the U.S. Embassy in Suva, Fiji, Mrs. Alka Bhatnagar. Meanwhile, a workshop was conducted at Dubois Tertiary Institute's library. The training was attended by librarians from various schools and workplaces here in Tonga with the purpose to know more on how to better look after the reading resources in the library. Speaking to Radio and Television Tonga News, Mrs. Alka Bhatnagar from the U.S. Embassy says they are here to see the particular area that Tonga needs help with.
It's a great experience just to share and understand what are the needs and what are the challenges we all face. And what I find unique is it's not unique. It's the challenges are uniform throughout the world. Yeah, this is not unique just to Tonga. This is unique globally. Resources, money allocation, human resources is a challenge globally, even in the United States.
Meanwhile, Reverend Samu Fonua told Radio and Television Tonga News that this is the second part of the program. This program started last year. Firstly, they discovered that most of the Tongan students do not like to read. So this year they are sending an expert in the field of library services to see how to boost the knowledge of the librarians in order to encourage students to read more and study hard. Attending the workshop were librarians from various schools and organizations in Tonga. For Television Tonga News, I'm Salama Fulivai.
The second Asian shopkeeper fined for individual selling of cigarettes was ordered to pay 2,000 pa'anga. The shopkeeper is an Asian man, Mr. Shenghua Sheng, who runs a retail shop in Tafoa. He was fined at the magistrate court on Friday. According to information from the Ministry of Health, it is against the law to sell tobaccos individually in any shop in Tonga. Radio and Television Tonga News understands that the first shopkeeper fined for individual selling of cigarettes was also an Asian shopkeeper. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health also says they have received complaints from shopkeepers regarding the customers' disrespectful treatment of them when they refuse to sell cigarettes individually. But they are still advocating the message behind the Tobacco Act, which strives to discourage people from smoking as it harms human lives. The Ministry of Health is calling on the villagers to be cautious with keeping their water supplies hygienic, even though they have distributed chemicals for the villagers to use. This chemical helps to destroy germs or bacteria that are usually affecting the clean water. This was emphasized at the opening of a week-long training for the people in Kolovai with the purpose of educating the villagers to keep their water supplies clean. Ana Falcao was there and filed this report.
A health officer from the Ministry of Health who is responsible for advocating clean water supply, Falahola Tautoa, told Radio and Television Tonga News they need to work closely together with people in local communities. He also urged them not to rely on chemicals distributed from the Ministry of Health which are used to clean water supplies. Mr. Tautoa also warned villagers to be cautious when using the chemicals to clean water supplies because it can harm people's health. It is clear that all sorts of chemical is bad for the human body. We look at chemicals as a way to destroy the germs in the water supply. It is important for us to look after the water supplies and to ensure it is clean at all times. For example, if we give it the chemical for the water to be clean and yet the water supply is not, there is no use. Therefore, the problem with the unclean water is the water supply. Once all the water supplies and tanks are clean, problem unclean water is solved. The training held at Golowai is targeting to all age groups of the village. Similar programs have been held in various villages throughout Tongatapu with the aim at advocating the same message. During the opening program for the training in Golomai, the district officer Sione Manumanu thanked the facilitators and related stakeholders for conducting the program there. Participating in the week-long training program are representatives from the primary level, youth and parents. The training is facilitated by the staff of Tonga Community Development Trust with the fund from the European Union and the Australian government.
And that's the local scene for tonight. Pacific is up next after this break.